All right, man, peace. So basketball legend Kareem Abdul Jabbar is experiencing a bit of a renaissance. He's making a lot of television appearances. And now that this society overall, and the NBA in particular, has embraced wokism, many of the more prominent members of the liberal sports media have started to delve back into Kareem's career, to reevaluate him, to place him back in what many would state would be his proper place as the number one greatest player in the history of the NBA. I did a video about Kareem maybe about a month or so ago, where I stated that one of the main reasons why Kareem stated that there is no GOAT, and I agree with him, there is no real GOAT, because really players have to be evaluated according to their era, oftentimes according to their position, also according to the coach and the system that they're in. But I've stated that one of the main reasons why he stated that there is no real NBA GOAT, and he's also made certain comments about Michael Jordan choosing commerce over conscience, quote unquote, is because he's been experiencing some economic problems himself. He's been experiencing some money problems. A lot of cats got upset with me. They said, oh, how could you say that? Blah, blah, blah. Brothers, I don't make comments that everybody else understands. I say things that I understand, and I say things before the time. And I want you guys to pay very close attention to this interview. And one of the main points that Kareem and Malik Karim are going to touch on in regards to why he's appearing at First Take and what he wants to publicize. Pay very close attention. Anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Now I feel like we're really in LA because we got the Hall of Famer, Laker legend Kareem Abdul Jabbar in the house. So good to have you, sir.
Nice to be here.
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Before we want to get into all the basketball talk, I want to talk about something you're doing. You're auctioning off some really cool items here on goldenauctions.com through October 27th. What can fans get and buy from you?
Everything that he has left that is of value, because the brother is struggling financially. And I'm not saying that to try to rake him over the coals or to mock him in any way, shape, or form. But I say this all the time. A lot of these guys who try to be woke, they end up being the same guys who go broke. And is it a singular thing to have money issues or money problems or what have you? No, of course. Throughout your life, if you go through your entire life and you never have to experience any money problems, you lived a very fortunate life. My point is this: when it comes to a lot of these woke people, they never have a plan. They never have an end game. Never. So they always end up having to auction off their personal items or having to sell their likeness, things of that nature, i.e. Colin Kaepernick, who recently acquired ownership of his own likeness, that Afro silhouette, so that he can market himself. And look, I have no problem with that. Go ahead, be an entrepreneur. Make sure that you can monetize yourself. But once again, woke people, they never have an end game. And I've said this over and over and over again. If we're going to evaluate basketball players, let's let the evaluation start and end on the basketball floor. Let's not take it off of the basketball floor. But since Kareem wanted to talk about how Michael Jordan chose commerce over conscience, now that opens up his economic portfolio. Now we have to evaluate what he's dealing with. Because oftentimes, because people are poor planners and they don't truly understand certain aspects of life, they start to nitpick at other people. In other words, in Kareem's mind and in the mind of many people out there, one of the main reasons why Jordan is assessed as being the greatest NBA player of all time is because the quote-unquote media is behind him. That would have made sense back in 1990 or 91 if they were declaring him the greatest player of all time. But after his career, his name certainly deserved to be bandied about in those circles. Point being is this: when you have to auction off all of your personal items, it's very obvious to me that you're having money problems. You're having major money problems. So Kareem needs to contact LeBron James and some of the other woke athletes so that they can assist him. As a matter of fact, many of the pro-blackity black woke people out there, they should all donate $1 to Kareem Abdul Jabbar to help him out. Because I have no doubt that the brother is struggling. And once again, I'm not saying that to try to demean him or denigrate him in any way. Because for someone who has put himself out there, or allegedly has put himself out there to assist so-called black people, a lot of the woke contingent should be more than willing to assist him. Black Twitter should be willing to send him money so that he can maintain all of the awards and accolades that he's been able to accumulate in his illustrious career. Why does he have to auction off all of these items that he's earned unless he's having money issues? But let's see what he has to say about this.
Well, they can buy anything from my career, just about anything. All things I've managed to maintain my possession of. I've collected them all. I'm going to put them up for sale.
What are the proceeds?
They're going to go to my foundation.
In other words, his Ponzi scheme, his quote-unquote foundation. That's the same thing that I stated about LeBron James's quote-unquote foundation, which contributed the $2 million to build the quote-unquote I Promise school. Really the Nike school, the shrine for LeBron James. See, a lot of you guys are going to learn what this overall system is really about in regards to these woke athletes and many of these so-called social justice warriors in the entertainment industry. They're all running a Ponzi scheme. That's why they have a foundation. So basically, the foundation acts as a cleansing agent. That's how they can cleanse the money. Kareem can get some off the top. Also, with the tax return, he can get a boon that way. But as long as the children who he's assisting are actually getting the assistance that they get, he'll be left alone. At least if he has a good enough accountant. So that's what the foundations are all about. They're just to cleanse money. That's it. You saw it with Lance Armstrong. You're seeing it with LeBron James. Now you're seeing it with Kareem. Everything I'm saying is alleged, by the way. Okay, but that's really all it's about. And I just, when I saw this interview, it really highlighted the sentiment that I was touching on in the previous Kareem video, when he stated that there is no NBA GOAT. And once again, I agree with him. But the conversations are fun and interesting to have. But at the end of the day, how can you exactly quantify who is the greatest player ever? All we can say is this person is amongst the greats. Now, I think that there are criteria that we can use to separate the greatest of the great from just the regular greats and the pretty great and so on and so forth. Of course, those are all fun conversations to have. And as I've stated numerous times on this channel, the only two players that I think that can be chosen above Jordan based off of their accomplishments and what they brought to the game are Kareem and Bill Russell. And you can make an outside argument for Magic Johnson, but that's it. When we evaluate peak value, impact, and career value, those are the only three players. That is it. But once again, just getting back to the point, when you start talking about what you esteem to be somebody's societal stances and claiming that they chose commerce over conscience because they did not want to walk the same woke path as you, now you're making things personal. Because now you want people to associate somebody's financial success with their lack of understanding of what's going on in society, as opposed to that person maybe just having a different viewpoint from you, a different perspective from you. And now when you come back and you have to have a Ponzi scheme and you have to auction off all your personal items, to me that's very glaring. Because the brother is what? He's pushing 70. Maybe he's 70 right now. He's probably 70 because his first year was 69. So I believe he was 22 years old. So that will probably put him at about 70, 71. Normally, great athletes or people who are highly accomplished, their items get auctioned off after they pass away.
Send kids from the LA Unified School District to camp so that they can learn about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math subjects. We have a waiting list now of 4 or 5 years, and it's a great program, but need some dollars to send the kids up there. So, a good way to use my stuff, because I'm not in the museum business. There's too much of it. I got to do something with it.
Championship rings right
goggles.
there.
I want a pair of Kareem goggles. 19-time All-Star, 6.
All that is a nice cover story, and I'm sure that many of those kids will actually get assistance through his foundation. But let's be for real. Let's knock it off.
NBA championships. There's a lot of things. He got a few things.
And I'm sure that a lot of brothers in the comments are going to get upset with me. Once again, it's by no means to attack Kareem or to marginalize Kareem. I just want brothers to understand that every ideology that we embrace, there has to be an end game. Okay? Everything that you do as a man, there has to be an end game. That's the bottom line of it on a serious level. There has to be. You can't just protest and talk shit for your whole life. There has to be an end game. And it has to be based in realism. It has to be based in precedent, not bullshit idealism.
Got a few things. Go ahead. Listen, let me get right to it. because we're out in LA, we're looking at the Los Angeles Lakers this year. First of all, I want to know how you felt about LeBron James electing to come here, A, and B, what are your expectations for the Lakers this year?
Well, I think it was a coup for the Laker franchise to get LeBron.
Was it really a coup or was it pre-planned? Come on, Kareem. Let's once again, let's be for real. LeBron James was planning on coming to play for the Lakers for the past 2 or 3 years. That's very obvious. I mean, just the fact that, as I've stated in previous videos, the fact that his I Promise school was completed and available to be open in the same offseason that he was leaving the Cavaliers shows you that that was meant to appease the people of Ohio as he was on his way out. So whenever they announced that that school was being built, sometime before that, he had already decided that he was going to LA. The only thing that LeBron James asked of Magic Johnson is to make sure that he supplied LeBron with some adequate teammates early on, because there was no way that LeBron was not going to go to LA unless that franchise was a complete dumpster fire.
He brings so much, you know, both on the court and off the court. I really appreciate his sensitivity to what's going on.
Right, but you know, we need more than sensitivity in regards to what's going on in the so-called black community. We actually need a plan. We need strategy, not just sensitivity. That's the problem, and I've mentioned this before. The so-called black man is too much in touch with his feminine side. A lot of brothers need to get more in touch with their masculine side and start to plan things out better. That's why I say it always starts with the regular so-called black man. We don't need celebrities like Kareem or LeBron James to save us. We can save ourselves. And that starts with our decision making. Is racism and oppression a real part of this society? Of course, because this is not our rest. This is not our kingdom. But just from a survival perspective, it all starts with you as an individual. All right? Regular Malik Brown from the hood somewhere, LeBron James is no better than you. You don't need him to assist you in becoming a successful person. As long as you make the best decision that you can make. We're all going to fuck up. We're all going to make mistakes. That's a part of life. But we don't need a whole bunch of sensitivity. All we need is to make better decisions on the daily to the best of our ability.
What he's doing for those kids at that school in Akron, oh my goodness, that's incredible. And
yes, that's incredible what Nike is doing there. And a lot of brothers get upset with me when I talk about that school, that I Promise school. Brothers, it's clear as day that was a Nike shrine for LeBron James set up from the very beginning.
It can't be anything but good for the team and for the city. It's great to have him here.
What about your expectations for the Lakers this season?
Well, they're going to make...
And don't get it twisted. If LeBron James or any other athlete can use Nike's billions to help their own people, they should. They should. But that's not going to stop me from assessing what I see. And that is LeBron James clearly being a Luciferian, a Saturnian. Nike is a Saturnian conglomerate, a Saturnian organization, and they're pushing Luciferianism. And they're using a lot of these low-level thinking, woman-worshipping athletes that are within their enclave, the LeBron Jameses and the Odell Beckhams, and a lot of these guys are MK athletes anyway. They're using them to push certain ideologies on the people.
They'll make the playoffs.
Okay. All right.
That's an easy one.
Yep.
How well they'll do depends on how the guys respond. You know, how the other teammates respond. They've got a great core of young players, and having...
Let me say this. It's going to be a very tough road to hoe for the Lakers. Okay? It's going to be a very tough road to hoe for them. I think that they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to find their way somewhere to around 48 to maybe at the highest 52 wins. But in the Western Conference, it's going to be very, very difficult. The talent level is very high out there. So would I be absolutely shocked if they didn't make the playoffs? No, I would not.
Having LeBron on the court will give them the opportunity to escape all that scrutiny, because he's going to attract so much attention, and they will have a chance to have their games.
So you don't think the attention is going to hurt them, because the attention will be geared towards him, and as a result, they get to prioritize just playing basketball as opposed to getting caught up in the paparazzi kind of atmosphere that he's going to create?
Absolutely. Already, how many times have we heard about Lonzo Ball? Lonzo Ball gets to chill in the cut. He gets to go out there and put up a quiet 13 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, like nothing. We've heard nothing from Lonzo, or about Lonzo, I should say. We've heard nothing from LeVar Ball. So the LeBron James effect is already very pervasive and overpowering.
Right. I think that they could just forget about that and think about winning games. That's what this is all about. And they can focus on that. And I'm sure that the leadership up there, they got Magic at the top, he'll be able to give them some wisdom as to how to handle this thing, because he handled it for his whole career and did a great job.
Before I get to the basketball of it, when you talk about I Promise and all the stuff that LeBron is doing, it occurs to me that you were from a kind of very politically active era, and you were socially conscious, and you talked about it. Then we got to an era in the 80s, really, and 90s that seemed very corporate, and it seemed as though a lot of athletes there were no Muhammad Ali's around anymore, and guys were, especially in the leagues, were afraid, it seemed, to say things, to offend anybody, to stand up for social issues. And now, again, we see LeBron, the best player in the game as you once were, and he's at the forefront of this kind of stuff. Is this a product of the times that we're in that allows for someone to do that? Or is that the product more of the individual, in this case LeBron, making the choice to be that way?
Well, Max Kellerman, we already know what you want Kareem to say. You want Kareem to say that LeBron James is a singular individual, and this is just who he is as a person. LeBron is a trailblazer in regards to race relations. The fact of the matter is that we're living in a woke environment. LeBron James has not been a leader in regards to making racial comments as an athlete. I told you guys 2 years ago that LeBron James was going to try to hijack the Colin Kaepernick social justice warrior generalship, and that's pretty much what he has tried to do in concert with Nike. And look, do I believe that LeBron James is insincere in regards to a lot of his statements? No, I think that he's relatively sincere in regards to how he views the so-called black community. I think that he wants to help, but I think that the main person that he wants to help is himself. I think that right now being woke is lucrative. It's a selling point. And Nike is behind him in being woke. Back in the 80s and 90s, that was not a part of the overall advertising paradigm. The overall advertising paradigm back in the 80s and 90s was to make sure that you made yourself palatable for the viewing audience at home. That meant that Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, you could sell certain products, but you had to make sure that you were somebody that Caucasians in Middle America found welcoming. It just is what it is. So once you involve the corporate aspect is always going to determine how the athlete conducts himself. We live in a corporatocracy. So in the 80s and 90s, the corporations, they determined how the athletes conducted themselves, and they still do today. Once again, if Nike told LeBron James to not do something, he would stop doing it. I promise you that. So a lot of this woke stuff is at the behest of Nike.
I think LeBron responded to what was going on around him. Look at the death of Tamir Rice. That happened in Cleveland. A 12-year-old child executed by a police officer.
Well, first off, LeBron James, when asked about Tamir Rice, said that he did not know anything about it and he was not going to comment on it until he had a full understanding of what occurred. That's what LeBron James said, Kareem. So maybe your memory is a little fuzzy in regards to that situation.
It's unbelievable that happened. LeBron said something about it and took a lot of flack.
Well, he took a lot of flack from a lot of the wokity woke, pro-blackity blacks on the internet. But once again, this was before LeBron James decided to try to usurp Kaepernick as the general of the internet revolutionaries.
But it didn't stop him from talking. And that's what I mean.
It did not stop him from acknowledging that he knew nothing about it and that he was not going to say anything about Tamir Rice until he had the facts, allegedly. And you know what's funny? Right after that, Tamir Rice's mother tried to give LeBron James a whole bunch of flack for not jumping behind her son and, running on the internet and trying to act as a social justice warrior. LeBron James easily could have came back and said, Tamir Rice, your mother failed you because you were out in the street, with a pistol, with a water gun or a BB gun, whatever it was that looked like a real gun. And had she maybe been a little bit more hands-on as a parent and had the father there, maybe that would not have happened. He could have said something like that, but he fell back. And this is a part of the problem. Once again, the leadership has to start in the household. It can't start from an athlete. She had no place trying to put the onus on LeBron James to say anything. I've always said I have no problem with LeBron James saying what he said about the Tamir Rice situation, because that's what he should have said. I have more of a problem with fake woke athletes acting like they care so much about every person who gets shot just because of skin color when they don't know what happened. You're not doing anybody a service when you do that. If you're going to be a leader, you have to be aware of the parameters of the situation, whatever it is and to whatever extent, before you run your mouth and before you talk. That's the bottom line to that.
About his quality, his leadership qualities. He's not going to sit back. Kind of reminds me of what happened with Louis Armstrong when they didn't want to integrate the schools in Arkansas, and Louis Armstrong called the president out on it. He said that President Eisenhower didn't have any guts, and that was
right. But you know what, Kareem? Louis Armstrong and Eisenhower, I guarantee you, they were frenemies, because Louis Armstrong was a very high degree Mason. So I guarantee you, they have exchanged hugs and kisses in some Masonic lodge somewhere where he felt comfortable saying that.
It was extraordinary, and nobody expected that from Louis Armstrong.
So it's the individual shaping history more.
Allegedly.
More than history allowing the individual the opportunity.
I mean, that situation developed there in Cleveland, and LeBron spoke out about it, and he was absolutely correct. And so many Black Americans responded so positively, because that's the type of leadership that we need.
So that was.
Once again, Kareem seems to have some of his facts jumbled, because the Tamir Rice situation is when LeBron James stated that he had no idea what that whole situation was really about, and a lot of the woke pro-blackity blacks got upset by LeBron James's actions. But it's very clear that Max Kellerman, once again, he's trying to lead the witness. He's trying to get him to put LeBron James up as some type of revolutionary figure who transcends his time. LeBron James has always shown himself to be a corporate whore, and I say that without trying to highlight him in any particular way, because they're all corporate whores. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, they're all corporate whores. Serena Williams, every last one of them, since the early to mid 80s. LeBron James is no different. It just pays to be woke now. That's it.
That was I was curious to know your take on that. We were having an argument earlier in this show about, I'm saying LeBron is bringing Showtime back to LA. Showtime in terms of style of play, because there's going to be fast breaks and
Look at Kareem laughing at Max Kellerman. He's like, oh, you silly boy. LeBron James does not know what Showtime is about.
and when your best player passes the ball, that's infectious, right? As you aged, Magic became the best player. Stephen A. says, nope.
Look at Kareem's face. Kareem's eyes flashed at Max Kellerman when he said that. Kareem is like, I retired the best player in the NBA.
Nope, Kobe and Shaq was Showtime too. I'm saying they're excellent, but it's not the same thing. Who's right?
Well, I think you can't say that Bill Russell's dominant teams were the same as Larry Bird's dominant teams. They were different. So, I will have to defend the era that I played in at Showtime. Kobe and Shaq did their own thing, and look at the success that they achieved. Three world championships in a row. So, just let them.
But do you think LeBron will bring that Magic Johnson fast break Lakers team style of?
No, you idiot, because LeBron James on his best day will never be the passer that Magic Johnson was. Ever. It's nowhere close, but it's only in your mind because you're such a LeBron James fanboy that he can pass like Magic Johnson. I mean, it's a big joke. And LeBron is a very good passer, borderline great passer, even though he has way too many turnovers compared to his assists to be compared to Magic Johnson or anybody like that. But Magic Johnson was a transcendent passer. He's the greatest passer in the history of the NBA, and it's really not even that close. LeBron James is not even as good a passer as Larry Bird. Larry Bird was to me, a discernibly better passer than LeBron James. So, I mean, to say that LeBron is going to bring back a Showtime element, no. They're going to run a lot, but they're also going to lose a lot of games. So, Showtime, they would normally win 60-plus games a year and be exciting, and Magic Johnson would be the best passer in the league by far.
We have no idea. The whole idea is to win. That's what it's all about, and we'll let the styles determine themselves as the season plays out. But, you have to give the team the opportunity to do that and find their voice and their method to win. And we're going to watch that.
I appreciate your kindness. You didn't want to tell Max he's wrong. I got it. I understand.
Let me kind of say you're wrong.
Stephen A. Smith got Kareem to crack up.
Let me move on. Because one of the things I'm interested in knowing from you, Kareem, is, when we look at today's game, it's evolved to such a degree that you've got to have the ability to stretch the floor as a big to really, really be formidable in the NBA level at the 4 and the 5 position to some degree. The Al Horfords of the world come to mind because he can step away from the basket. He can shoot. Joel Embiid, even though he doesn't need to be doing that, he can step away from the basket and occasionally shoot some jump shots. I want to know your thoughts about how the game has evolved as it pertains to the big man. Does the big man have a role in basketball in this day and age? And if so, what is that role in your mind?
Well, sir.
Well, Stephen A. Smith, is obvious that the big man has a huge role in basketball because, for all intents and purposes, if he's not already the favorite to be the MVP, I'm pretty sure that as long as he stays healthy, he will be the favorite by the middle of the season, and that's Mr. Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is shooting up that proverbial NBA hierarchy with a bullet right now with his stellar play. He's widely considered to be currently the best two-way player in the NBA. So, of course, the big man still has a role. That's not even talking about Joel Embiid, Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, etc.
Certainly, the big man has a role defensively because you need someone with some length that can guard the basket and deny layups. Bill Russell's Celtics were successful because he didn't let anybody get second shots. And
Bill Russell was by far and away the greatest defensive player in the history of the NBA. By far and away.
And anybody trying to shoot layups near the basket got traumatized. Bill Russell did that consistently. That was the mark of that team. So each team, has its mark, how it makes its its will felt, and how they win games. So LeBron and this present Laker team have the chance to make their own statement, to come out and do it their way, and we'll find out what that is.
Okay. And in summation, the Kobe Shaq Lakers were excellent, but they weren't Showtime.
In summation, Kareem played in a totally different era, totally different rules than what these guys are dealing with. Kareem, appreciate you. GoldenAuctions.com, you get great stuff like his 82 ring with the Lakers and, of course, UCLA as well. Appreciate you.
There's no way in the world that anybody's going to tell me that Kareem Abdul Jabbar is selling all of those items, all of those accolades, his championship rings, and it's not because he's not having money problems. I'm sorry.
Auction ends the end of this month.
October 27th.
October 27th.
And you know what? God bless that brother. Hopefully somebody intervenes and allows him to keep his stuff. But anyway, peace.